What it is, what it doing, how the hell are all of you? With yours truly, Petra, fucking back with another mother lover. You already know the deal. Grab your smoke, grab your drink, and lock on with your boy, because we back with another one. Now, in this one, man, it's funny, because I did 2 episodes about what was happening in Minneapolis when it came to the elections, November 2nd. You know, the mayor he was able to get more power. They kept the mayor, and then they voted no on the police. Well, funny thing is they got rid of a couple extreme progressives on the city council just to elect 3 Democratic socialists. Now, again, a lot of these people born and raised in the United States makes me laugh when they talk about socialist. Like, you don't know what it is. You've never lived in it. You just have the utopian idea of what it could be, but never has been, and no one's ever been able to implement the utopia type idea that so many wish and believe they could achieve. Now, I don't think it would be hard for one of the candidates that's in Ward 2, a woman. She had said it wasn't hard for her democratic social message. Now, I'm not exactly sure what Ward 2 is off the top of my head, but we're gonna get into the article. And then I kind of thought it was funny because they wanted to get rid of Mayor Frey. They want to get him out of office, yoke him out of office, even though he is rather progressive. He's just not progressive enough to want to abolish the police. But that's kind of what they wanted. They wanted someone that they could just kind of push over this, that, the other. Well, Mayor Frey got to keep his job, got a whole nother term, and then he even acquired more power. So now the city council doesn't have the direct power that they had before. He has it. So pretty much anything they want to do, they're going to have to run through him. That's just the gist of it. Now, I know there's more of this, more of that to it, but the actual gist is he is now the one in charge. They're just a board, essentially, you know. And I think it's funny because I think it's going to be a long time before Minneapolis itself turns red. I have no doubt that there's conservatives that live in Minneapolis. I have no doubt that there are Republicans that live in with Minneapolis. St. Paul area, the Twin Cities, in the surrounding suburbs that also sometimes, most of the time, adopt the same feelings that the city has. Now, when I say it like that, because when you go out, if you're from Minneapolis, from Minnesota, and you go out from South Minneapolis to Richfield, or you go from over north to Edina, feeling's completely different. Just the feeling is. You know you're somewhere different, this, that, the other, right? But a lot of the ideas that run up into the communities aren't very different. And I think a lot of, good example, as I said before, I'm going to say it again, you could clearly see when the polls came out, when it came down to who wanted to get rid of the police and who didn't. The black community came out 40% saying fuck no, and 53% of the white community said, oh yeah, we'll get rid of them. So it really sounds like white people, white allies, were trying to we're trying to speak for the black community. That's one of the ways I see it, and I'm not going to see it that way. Now, I break it up the way I do because when I think everything is a case-by-case basis, every situation is different. You know, I mean, there are some situations that are the same, that do follow along the same lines here and there, but it's not always the same. Do you know what I mean? And I think when we think of, at least when I first started getting into politics, I really did generalize all Democrats all together, and I did it with conservatives too, you know, but that's not, I think a lot of people do. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or ugly, just saying that you got to sometimes break it apart. And when I think of Minneapolis, I think they're not doing anything to break it apart. They're calling it on more. They're calling it on. And that to me is extremely questionable, to say the least. Like, you didn't want to go through some of these far-out progressive ideas, but yet you implement more people in the city council, clown council, that are okay with doing this. It's amazing to me. It's almost, you know, when they say the definition of crazy is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. That's kind of what it's like. You're going to keep electing socialists, Democratic wannabe socialists, in hopes of what? You don't like what they preach, but yet you keep putting them in office, which is just mind-boggling to me. Now, if you type in Minneapolis elect socialists, NPR is the first one that pops up, so on and so forth. But we're going to go here. So this is the lady in Ward 2. He is Ward 9, and I believe she is Ward 4 or 5. We're going to find out. So the young man said he's 26 years old. He's from the East Phillips neighborhood of South Minneapolis. Chavez sees the new DSA block as a way to shift the power balance on the council, which he says too has often served the interest of the wealthy instead of the helping Minneapolis residents meet their basic needs. I would argue with him until we're both blue in the face, because as a person that grew up in Minneapolis, I think a lot of the basic needs were met, but I think the crime, the drugs, the nonstop problems throughout the neighborhoods were a big difference maker in comparison to when you look at the suburbs and other surrounding neighborhoods, other surrounding cities. People, when they look at the city, I think they try to forget about the crime and the guns and the drugs and all this other shit that take place. And not only that, you want neighborhoods to be built up and flourish that literally get torn down, robbed, and shitted on all the time, every time. So I mean, it's questionable to me when they want something. You know what I mean? Now, people are tired of doing the same thing over and over again. They're really not. That's clear as day when they elect him, and he's going to push for the same shit that Lisa Bender and others did that failed on the city council. This new wave is Minneapolis that just hit with the three of us and something that is going to return power back to the regular people until they get that taxpayer money that lines their pocket, or until now they got their foot in the door so they can try to climb the ranks. They're going to forget about Minneapolis just like so many others have before, and I can almost guarantee that. I would argue that Ward 9, 2, 4, because let's be honest, they're not. What happened with the last ones? Was power was returned to the people? You had just as many Democratic, Socialists, and Progressives on the clown council then. Only problem is now he talks like they're going to be able to actually move some shit around. You're going to need the mayor's blessing on that shit, and you're not going to get it as often as you would like, especially when it revolves around certain things. Now, when they talk about making the rich richer when it comes to Minneapolis, I don't think they're doing that. I think people get mad that the rich are able to pull off some of the loopholes they're able to pull off, but they're able to do that because they're rich. Like, let's just be honest. The more your tax bracket, I'm assuming the more the loopholes out of certain things, this, that, other, especially if you have money to get out of certain things. But they don't want to see that. They don't want to believe in common sense or logic. They want to believe in a utopia that they're not going to build. They want to look at the world like it's Minecraft. Like they can just go outside, chop down a tree, and put one up somewhere else. Like that's what they think. Now, this is the Democratic Party shortfalls. On the east side of Minneapolis in Ward 2, community organizer Robin Warbala won her race by just 19 votes, unseating a longtime Green Party council member Cam Gordon. At post-election forum hosted by Twin Cities DSA, she called Minneapolis one of the worst places to live as a black working-class person. And this is a place run by Democrats. I would say she's right. But I'd also ask, what are you going to do that's going to change the community that the last person that said they were going to didn't? Because the last city council was pretty diverse. Why was it not changed and reflected of the people then? And I'll be honest, I think it's really easy in 2021 to say, it's the worst for this situation, because you're going to get pandering points. You're going to get virtue signaling points. You're going to get people that actually feel that way because that's what they've been taught to believe. That's what they've been indoctrinated to believe, that it's the worst. I would argue that maybe Chicago's a tad different. Just gonna throw that out there. Now, she even says right here, her socialist platform wasn't too tough to sell for War II, which had a strong turnout for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential bids. Cam Gordon was a consistent voice for progressive policies for decades. See? Like, they outed people that believed in the same shit they did. And here's the socialist appeal. Chung Tai, Twin Cities DSA member, said her new constituents were much more concerned about housing affordability and police violence than the fact that she's a socialist. Yeah, because what your ideology is and what you believe in as when it comes to politics really shouldn't make a fucking difference when you're trying to help the people of the community. Now, when they say police violence, I think it's been so overused for so long. I'll say, you cannot claim the police beat you up if you resist. You cannot claim the police beat your ass if you don't want to fucking listen and try to take off. Like, you can't, cops are not just busting you in the fucking mouth because you're standing there. They're not punching you in the mouth because you called them a fucking pig. You know, like, then they say we feel really optimistic and hearted about what will be a progressive and socialist minority on the council, but we have a lot of work ahead of us. Ringenberg said, our goal isn't just to be critical of power, but to build power for working people, so we need to do more. This is, a lot of us, like, again, to me, this is a utopia. You're shooting for a utopia. And I say it like that because then here we go with this. Let's pull this on up. We got NPR News. So, I didn't know there was a thing called strong mayor and weak mayor. A weak mayor just has to basically go through a city council for some things outside of, like, their direct line to the police and a couple other agencies. Now, as a strong mayor, all the agencies are basically they work under the mayor. They're not side by side. They don't hold power together. The mayor has the power. So when they talk about a socialist agenda, how are you going to implement that when the mayor didn't allow the last ones to do it? And they had more power then. Like, if you think about this, it's baffling. Minneapolis elected the same people, some more of the same people to do the same bullshit. It's not going to get anybody any more money. It's not going to get anybody better housing. None of that shit. I almost can guarantee that. They still haven't built up Lake Street. They still haven't built up Broadway after the massive fires of 2020 riots. So what makes you think that they're going to be able to pull this off? Do you think the defund the police movement's over? Oh, probably fucking not. Now you got 3 more socialists that are going to be like, well, you know what, maybe we don't need the police force. Maybe we can go with, another ragtag band of thieves or something, you know what I'm saying? A little something. That's how I look at this, man. And I can't stand Mayor Frey. This motherfucker right here helped burn down the city that raised me, man. I can't stand his ass. No way. And then it said, and then this is before it was. This is before it went. This was months before that the election. Months before the election popped. Look at that. Months. Well, he says, if adopted, the mayor of Minneapolis would have more power than the city council, in which he does. The amendment would reorganize Minneapolis city government, giving more executive authority to the mayor. The mayor would be declared the city's chief executive officer, with control over the administration functions in the city. The mayor would appoint agency heads with the consent of the city council. So the city council gets a little say with the consent, but I bet he has room to veto them if he wants to put so-and-so in power. They're not going to be able to say much. The amendment would also eliminate the city's executive commitment, which would include the mayor, city council president, and up to 3 other council members. Yup, there's no more executive committee. That's gone. And St. Paul moved to that system after Melvin Carter. Then other efforts have been made to change Minneapolis' government structure since the city's founding efforts by Minneapolis Mayor Don Fraser to amend the charter for more pure vision of a strong mayor system failed, although he did successfully pass an amendment in the 80s that gave the mayor more authority as head of the new executive committee. See, they kept moving. They've been moving it. So there's been a lot of pushback. A lot. And you can see they still kept building up as time went on. So it's definitely something that I think is worthy to talk about. And I just thought it was hilarious that you go from having an extreme clown council, an extreme left council, to having another extreme left council, another extreme clown council. Again, it's almost the definition of insanity. They keep wanting, they're doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. All there is different people's names on those seats now. That's it. But it's definitely something that I wanted to bring to light just because I do talk about local news. I talk about Minneapolis news a lot. I do not believe any of these 3 people are going to have any effect on the rise in crime. I do not believe that people are going to be listening to them as a whole. The Clown Council, I almost just think should be disbanded and let there be aldermans or something for each community. And I know it's kind of the same thing, but it definitely maybe they should just have to revamp a whole new system or something, because I don't think it's okay if the whole Clown Council is leaning one way. I think there should definitely be a mix of people I'm not saying there can't be socialists. I'm not saying there can't be communists, but there should definitely be hardcore conservatives, just as hardcore as a Democrat or a socialist is able to be. Because then you're actually getting all sides of the fucking spectrum. But no, when it comes to cities like this, they got one side, and that's the only side they're going to push for. And then when there is pushback, they get really mad, as so many have lately. I mean, Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, they were livid as fuck when the police weren't defunded, and when the mayor ended up with more power. You know they were pissed. You know they were livid. I bet a TV or two got broken. Crazy, isn't it? Now, that's all I really got for this episode. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Again, keep praying for the Midwest, these Midwestern cities that are ran by nothing but lunatic lefties. That's all I can say is to keep praying for them. Stay blessed, stay safe. On to the next one. Peace.